Oh, where is it? Where are you? Little bastard. Problem. There's a mosquito still in here. I swear I had that big bug zapper I bought from the last stream, set it up right in the middle of the room, turn off all the lights. I thought, surely, I'm going to be gone for 2 days from this room. First thing happens. I sit down, not 5 minutes into my workday. Maddening. Anyway, today's stream, we're going over DWM documentation. Real easy. Yesterday I set up an entire documentation website. I hadn't put anything into it, so we're going to do a little bit of that, but mostly like screenshotting, kind of getting everything set so a normal person could actually use what we've been working on for, God, 2 weeks now. So anyways, let's get into it. Should be fun. Oh man, I tell you. How did that happen? I don't know. Oh, I forgot. Let's fix that. Ooh. Adjustment. All right, there we go. Whew, this should be fun. I guess I'm just gonna get eaten alive while we finish this. But it is going well. I think a lot of people are noticing it's really coming together. I really have enjoyed this setup, and I'm using it inside as well, so that's been good. All right, so what do we got? First off, the website. Let's do I have there it is. It's like I think I have Chrome up here somewhere. DWM.ChrisTitus.com. Use an MD book. It's a Rust program that essentially makes a documentation website for you, but very bare bones. You can search. You can have like a complete table of contents on the left side. You can do theming, so you can go light. Well, actually, I have dark theme on. You can just kind of change all these things to your suit. You can also print out pages. Everything gets updated with the last change, so you know, hey, when was the last time this was updated? It's a problem in the Linux realm, trust me. There's been plenty of times I was looking at something, I'm like, oh, this is exactly what I need, and then I look at when it was actually modified, and it was like, oh, that was 10 years ago. That's unfortunate. So I'm not using Hugo, not for this one. I think for Hugo makes sense when you actually need an actual website, but for this one, I really wanted a very simplistic book / documentation to where it would be very easy to search. It'd be very easy to just have a chapter readout. And that way, when people come to here to like, oh, how the hell do I use this thing Titus has created? You can easily just go either get the talk over here or the table of contents and just do a simple search for what you need and then have it just pop up. There's no reason to use like a full-blown Hugo website for documentation. I think people creating like documentation websites, it's kind of silly. Unless like maybe for collaboration, but people can still collaborate with this because at the end of the day, it's just a GitHub repo, much like Hugo. So how I set this one up, it's DWM-Titus docs. So I just created a whole new repo for it. And I thought about just doing it as a subdirectory, just called docs, and doing it through GitHub pages. But I decided against that. Because I was just like, I kind of like the docs separated, because when we did it in past projects, it does seem like when you have all the docs kind of thrown in there, it does think, I kind of go back and forth. We'll see. But I for this one, I was just like, I wanted to try out, see how well it does. And does quite well. As far as the about here, we can actually fix this. Should be, that was the original. And now it's that. Oh, yeah. Sweet. it updated. I had to do a custom domain and update DNS through like Cloudflare and such, but it's working good now. So yeah. Can I update Logitech Pro Superglide 2 firmware on Arch, or do I need a dual boot for that? Probably dual boot X3M. Most times I do that. So like if I was maining and I never wanted to leave Linux, I've talked about this in the past when it comes to PCI pass-through. PCI pass-through, I think, to have fully function Windows inside of your Linux, you need to pass through a GPU, pass through a USB card, USB 3 card to be specific, and then you also need to pass through a secondary hard drive. I like to have hardware access to those three things because there's been plenty of times when I'm inside Windows and I need to like plug in a thumb drive or something where I need that hardware level access. And yes, you could just plug it in and then pass through that one USB by powering it down, powering it back up. But the idea of PCI pass through to me is having like a second PC, so to speak, inside of my PC that I can just have direct access to without having to modify the virtual machine at all. So that's why I do it that way. Did you finish the Linux book? Man, that's the other thing. That's the other thing. The Linux book, God, it's so close to the finish. And I was just like at the end here, setting up the perfect Linux environment. And this is what kind of kicked off all this DWM-Titus stuff, because I was like, well, here's my perfect environment. And I almost want to make a chapter 9. This is also MD book, by the way. But I don't know. I think it's good enough. It's just not there's this sweet spot, you know, where you just kind of have to pull the trigger, release it out into the public, get feedback, and then do like another edition. Reiteration is how you get perfection. But there's always this, I think it's in everybody, where you just want it to be as perfect as possible on the first release. And the reality of life is it's never going to be perfect on the first release. And I just got to accept that. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything big. And I don't think I am. I think I've pretty much covered everything I can think of that I would think a new desktop Linux user would need in here, or at least point you in the right direction. Ah, nice, Joan. Good job on the steps, by the way. Yeah. Reality life, nothing is perfect. It's so true. Yeah. Perfectionism is the enemy of progress, I think is the quote of the day. So hard to get away from, though. We all do it. How well do you think the new GPUs will work when I plug in the server tomorrow? Probably pretty well. Caleb, I would probably you probably need to look into, because you made like a cardinal sin of doing the single GPU, which tells me you probably don't understand WMI filtering. And I would highly recommend reading documentation on WMI filtering and being able to see the power of that, because that's why you use GPUs, to easily distribute settings to a whole bunch of computers all at once, but also being able to limit down which computers receive those settings is such a key factor. And whenever I ran into a technician that always jammed everything into one GPU, that technician always was missing WMI filtering knowledge. And I would say you're probably missing that knowledge. And that's something you really, really need to focus on, because once you figure that out, you're going to be like, oh God, yeah. This is awesome. Titus was right. I absolutely needed this. But yeah, that's what you need, man. Look up on that, brush up on it. I bet you're not using it at all on any of those GPUs. And once you figure it out, you're going to be like, this was cool. Yeah, Cosmic. And Cosmic Beta is coming right down the road, too. I'm not always right. I'm probably wrong more than I'm right, but I've done that enough. I have enough experience in that I can tell you I've screwed it up enough to know what's wrong and what's right. Yeah. That's the thing I think most people miss too, is you kind of have to screw things up. Like when a lot of times people think that I'm talking down to others when I say it that way, but just know I'm saying it that way because that was me. I've screwed that up specifically, and I screwed it up because of these reasons. And then once I realized what those reasons were, I was like, I'm an idiot. So a lot of times when I speak something like that, where I've actually experienced it, I'm kind of brash or blunt, but I do it as if I'm talking to my old self and what I would have loved to hear 15 years ago when I made that mistake. You know? So that's my thought. Yeah, computers and domain controllers are in different OUs and different GPOs. We will be fine. Okay. And sometimes you just got to let people make mistakes too. That's the other thing. That's another thing I have a problem with. I think especially in business realm, letting people make mistakes, as long as it's not like catastrophic mistakes, I think it's important to let people make mistakes, because then they can, it's just giving someone the answer sometimes is not the right thing to do. Sometimes you have to let them screw up, and then they'll figure it out. They'll go, okay. Where if you just told them the answer, they wouldn't understand why that's the answer unless they actually made the mistake too. So there is that aspect of it as well. If you ain't breaking, you ain't learning. That's true. Just hopefully not in production. That's all I say. Chris, have you ever dealt with Spark machines? Those things are a nightmare to get Linux on. Spark typically, those would run their own thing. I think when last time I dealt with a Spark station, I can't remember what was Sun Microsystems OS. It was something it's long defunct at this point, but I remember I was helping someone. I think it was Solaris. Sounds right, but it was for this guy did a bunch of geological surveys for like oil rigs and stuff, and he was just like buying up all the old hardware because he didn't want to translate it, because the company that wanted the money to translate all these old Sun workstations was, I think they wanted to charge him a couple million, or it was something stupid. It was well over 100,000 though. And I said, that's dumb. And I looked at it and I was like, bro, just don't buy any more hardware. This old hardware, he's paying like thousands of dollars for like these old busted Sun systems. And I remember, we ended up shelling out a couple $1,000. He did, at least. And we set up an emulator, because you could actually emulate, I think it was Solaris, at least the version that he was on. And then I was able to migrate everything into the emulation. I was like, here you go. Now you can actually use modern hardware with your old busted ass systems, and you don't have to redo all these geological surveys. And I remember he was just like over the moon. He's like, this is amazing. You're a wizard. I've saved so much money. Yeah, I love seeing that expression on people. That's fun. Yeah, if Solaris is still active, it's not Solaris. This would have been something different, because I know it was long defunct. Sun Microsystems operating systems.
Yeah, well,
Sun OS, I think is what it was. Yeah. Thanks, Kale, for the tier 1, good sir. Yeah, I think it was Sun OS.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
The dude abides.
So it was old. And I don't think he ever converted to Solaris. Let's open Solaris. Oh, man. It's been a minute, though. This would have been well over 10 years ago. pretty sure that was it. Oracle Linux. Yeah, Oracle Linux is neat. But I believe, isn't Oracle Linux a one-to-one bug replication of RHEL? I thought it was. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, that's exactly right. When all the whole Red Hat stuff came out, Oracle Linux, Alma Linux, and then also Rocky Linux all like got hit real hard because of the RHEL trying to kind of hold back all their source code, and all those were one-to-one bug replications of RHEL. So they're actually downstream from Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So I think Oracle and Alma and Rocky are still downstream from Red Hat Enterprise Linux, and they're still one-to-one bug replications of them. So you could use Rocky, you could use Alma, you could use all that. Do you know Last Miles, the streamer? He's a former Sun engineer. He worked on Oper Solaris. That's cool. Yeah, we rated Last Miles not too long ago, Ahmed. That's good to know, though. Dang, if I ever run into something like that, I'll reach out to him. Yeah, Oracle just took over everything. Destroyed it. The enshittification. That's sad. Sad, sad, sad. Speaking of Rocky Linux, what would you say to your 2023 headless Nix? Is it still viable? I am always chasing after the best, perfect, absolute, cleanest, minimal, functional desktop in existence. And it's something I almost think is like chasing the dragon that you just never possibly get. But every time I do it, I feel like it just gets a little bit better. And I still love this background. I think this is BSPWM. That's kind of where I'm at. I wanted to talk about my thought and changing the way I'm building a lot of my desktops. I'm using right here, it's actually Rocky Linux, but a variant of it. You could use Alma. They're basically the same thing. This is the premise, the theory behind this is solid. I don't recommend that for many. Most people will probably want like Debian or Ubuntu. Yeah. That'd be much more palatable because the base package manager would have a lot more. See all the packages I'm installing that don't exist BSPWM on that base package layer. Well, if these change or an update happens or anything, I can roll back generations, and it's just very nice. It's still a great idea. Like, this whole setup here is still a solid idea. In practice, there's a little bit of flaws with it when it comes to, I'm trying to think. Let me think about this for a second. In practice, I would say there's not necessarily anything wrong with this method of doing things with the Nix package manager on Rocky. I think the biggest issue I see here is the kernel is so far behind that I would be missing out on a lot of optimizations, specifically around gaming. And from like GameScope and some of those advancements I get on Arch, I wouldn't get on this. But from a workstation perspective, like let's say all I did was work and I didn't do any gaming at all, this system's perfect because you have this rock solid base and then all the extra like whiz-bang packages that I will like GitHub Desktop, Hugo. I mean, there probably is an old version of Hugo in here, but it's probably like .70 or some crap, where I think right now it's up to like 130. And that's actually this is a very solid theory still today. Like even years later after making this video, I was onto something here from a workstation perspective. But from a multi-use, like all-in-one system with games and everything, it's a little flawed because like GameScope, obviously you can't throw that through a Nix package, or at least I don't think you can. So yeah, it was an interesting thing. The perfect system. I still love it though. It's a good idea. Chris reacting to Chris. Yeah. Oh man. Oh, the Titus splash screen, man. That's a blast from the past, drummer. Oh man. For some reason, Chris's Mastodon's full of shilling Librem phones. I haven't logged into my Mastodon in like 5 years. Oh, Librem phones. Another good idea in theory, but just terrible execution. Ugh. Are they still around, or did they finally go out of business? I don't know. I actually signed up for Mastodon using their Mastodon server, so I imagine my account will eventually be defunct because they'll probably shut down that server eventually. How solid is NixOS in your opinion? Pretty solid. When you have it essentially is taking snapshots every single time you boot up your system or install anything. So anytime your system changes, you have a snapshot of your prior version. So very solid in that respect. They use something called generations for that, and it's really good. So I do like NixOS from a business standpoint, or even a sysadmin for replicating a bunch of workstations. It's actually pretty good. So here, I'm gonna go just chat, and we can chat for a bit. So yeah, I really like that. Fan of Linux Mint sentiment. You know, Joan, that's been around for forever, and it's always been a good option. It's not like a perfect option. Like there's no perfect option, I don't think, but there is some stuff like that. So Linux Mint's always been top 3, I would say, for most recommended users. I don't personally recommend it these days. These days, I really am. I mean, honestly, you can just call me a giant Bazite shill, because I think that's what most users coming over, especially gaming users, anybody playing games on Linux, I think should just install Bazite, unless you're really familiar with Linux. Then I think it makes sense. Speaking of Microsoft stuff, the MicroWin 25H2 PR is ready for review. Oh, good to hear, Coding. We'll knock that out. Probably let's do that next Monday, because I need to look through a few more things over there. I have a little bit of a list going for old WinUtil. It's not perfect, but perfect for me. Yeah. And that's it. That's the thing, is what works for you is the big thing. That's what most people forget. They also changed the notification in Teams and split all your calendars into separate calendars, so you have to horizontally scroll. God, old Microsoft. You stay classy, Microsoft. Catchy OS. I think Catchy OS... I'm trying to think of who Catchy OS is for. I think there's a lot of... Man, I don't know. I have a hard time recommending Catchy, because I think at the end of the day, if you're an Arch user, you should just use Arch. I still stand by like the Arch and Debian argument that I made, where if you're using that, you should probably just learn to configure those. If you can't configure them, or can't be bothered to configure them, then, you know, picking an atomic or an immutable system is probably more your speed, because then you can't screw it up. The problem with like a pre-configured distribution like Catchy OS and many of the others is there's too much stuff installed, and they're too easy to screw up and break for a new user to ever recommend them. That's the problem. They're not necessarily, I'm not saying they're bad distributions. I'm just saying I don't know who they're built for. And I think fundamentally putting a new user on like a Garuda, a Catchy OS, or any of those, they're really nice looking, but it's inevitable that that user's going to end up on Windows or Mac at that point, because what's going to go on is they're going to go maybe a couple weeks to a month or two down the road, they're going to screw something up, they're going to break their system, and then they're going to be back on Windows. So that's why I don't recommend those. I like recommending things I know they can't screw up when starting Linux, the Linux journey. Yeah, Bazite kernel for gaming on Arch Linux. It's been very good. I've also heard great things about the Catchy OS kernel, which is also has most of the same customizations as Bazite. So I think that's really good. Yeah, I disagree. You get to pick what you installed with the installer. It's putting more new user on Arch and dealing with what is potential hurdle. The main issue with this right here, Damie, where I'll push back a little bit, is most new users won't know what they're picking. So they'll pick wrong, and then they'll start to try and fix it a couple weeks or a month later, and then they'll end up breaking what they got. In my experience, it's just what I've seen. Yeah, you can do a minimal desktop install, but again, it requires knowledge, and most people using Catchy OS don't have the knowledge. So that's why I usually skew towards these recommendations. But it's not to say, you know, any distribution's viable. You can put me on any distribution, I'll be fine. It's just a knowledge, it's a skill issue. Every distribution is just a skill issue. And it depends on what the user wants to how much skill they need to make it functional. There's a lot of customization where Windows and Mac, you kind of know what you're going to get. They're easy to support. The downside to Linux in general is you can't support Linux because there's just too much going on. So that's why Linux is always going to be fringe. Like, you know, a lot of people always joke, you're the Linux desktop, but it's always a joke. It's never going to be mainstream just because it's impossible to support. There's just too many variations. The closest thing you can get to supporting Linux is SteamOS. You do an immutable install where you can control the hardware, you can control the software, then you can support it. That's how, I mean, Valve figured it out probably first out of everyone. There's been instances of support plans, which is kind of cute when I see FOSS people like, oh, well, you can build a Linux business and then just do support. I'm like, you don't understand business. If you want to make a lot of money, you don't sell support. That's stupid. You're selling time for money, and that time's got to come from somewhere, probably you, and you only have so many hours in the day. It's not scalable. It's just not good from a business perspective. I'm not saying you can't make money doing it. I'm just saying it's very difficult, and for long-term viability, it's just not there. So Valve's the only one I've seen do it well with an immutable system, targeted hardware that the masses can get behind. I think that's great. Yeah. But I mean, don't take this as, oh, you can't use these distros, or oh my God, why would you ever install? I wouldn't say any of that. I say these things kind of tongue in cheek, like when I did a tier list. God, I got so much shit for that Linux tier list. But the fact of the matter is, use what works for you, you know? And if you're exploring and you're enjoying your time exploring, then who am I to tell you where to have fun? The idea is you just go and you have a good time. And as long as you're having a good time, I'm not going to say anything. Like, you could use whatever crazy distro you want, whether it's Kali or, you know, even a fork of Ubuntu. If you're enjoying yourself and you're liking your computer experience, what are you doing? You're good. Enjoy your time. We're here to have fun. I have tried Wayfire Window Manager. It's very basic. A very basic floating window manager, if I remember correctly. It had some really interesting transitions when switching workspaces, I remember, with Wayfire. I think they even had a cube transition that I thought was pretty hilarious. But actual practicality of using it, nah, I'm out. What makes Debian stable, the kernel or the package ages? both. You know, both the kernel and packages are run off of more of an LTS standard. So usually there's a good 6 months to a year or two worth of testing that goes in before it hits like the stable package. So Debian's very, very much stable because there's just so much testing before it hits a stable branch, because it's usually had a year or so worth of testing prior to it hitting a stable release. So that's why Debian's so stable. But at the same time, it doesn't have all the new hotness. So that's one of the big issues. Favorite thing to do on Windows is playing around with ADK, Windows PE, VHDs, etc. I guess because I got paid to do it for so long, there's not much to discover there for me in Windows anymore. So usually a lot of new features that people tout in Windows is just like a fresh coat of paint over something old. And a lot of times I just prefer them to remove that facade and just give me the old stuff already. And I guess they're trying to bring it for a new generation, maybe. I don't know. It doesn't feel like they've actually done anything with Windows in 10 years. It's very difficult to pick out what kind of improvements they've made. Probably a little bit in the security realm. If I had to tip my hat at Windows, it's something. It feels like the stock experience has gotten much better from a security standpoint, especially considered to like 15 years ago kind of thing. That's definitely improved. As far as other improvements to Windows, I'm hard pressed to pick something that would be a markable improvement. At least not off the top of my head. Most of the things have been worse. Hence the decline of market share in Windows. Other than making it worse, yeah. Most things have been worse. Security and Microsoft's Defender has gotten better. I would say that's been a markable improvement, noticeable, and end users have profited from it. So much so that, like, I would never recommend you get a third-party antivirus anymore. Everything should just be Defender if you're a Windows user. Yeah. Would it be possible to use Debian's kernel for stability and Arch for the rice feel and customization? And don't think of it as like Debian's kernel or Arch's kernel. People like to name things like that, but really what it is the Linux kernel, just a different version of the Linux kernel that's more proven. So what would you do if let's say you're on Arch, you would just install Linux-LTS. So LTS kernel would be very, very much the same, probably the same versioning as what Debian stables on. If you look at the Linux LTS kernel. So a good example of this, like right here, I'm on the Bazite kernel, so 6.16. But if you go Linux, you can see it's 6.16 too. But let's go Linux LTS. You'll notice, oh, that's 6.12. So there's different versionings you can choose here, but you can also customize this and install the kernel directly yourself without using a package manager. Most people rely heavily on the package manager. As I get more experience using Linux desktop day to day, the less I like builders and package managers. I think as I go, a lot of times I'm just like, man, it'd be so much better if I just built it and then I didn't have to worry about it. For certain things that holds true. But anyways, I digress. You can see the difference in kernels. Like this is 6.12 for the LTS release, and then the standard mainline Linux release is 6.16 right now. Windows Defender plus firewall. Yeah, so like just Windows Defender for viruses. Obviously for the firewall section of that, I believe firewall and security should be all handled from a networking perspective. from your current local gateway. Now, having said that, that's not always possible. Like, let's say you have a laptop and you're going to like Starbucks or something, then obviously you probably should brush up on securing your networking down from a workstation perspective. But most cases, it's not needed. What do you use for the top bar in Linux now? Polybar. Just a very streamlined version, minimal version of Polybar. So if you go btop filter by Polybar, you'll notice it doesn't use up any resources. About 24 megs of RAM, and then no CPU usage or cycles. So we don't use any scripts for the Polybar. Because that's the one thing, like when you say Polybar, it's almost like a dirty word. At least it was for me. And the reason why is because most people that use Polybar use it incorrectly. And I was one of those most people. And when I went back to it, I was like, oh God, you know what? We can actually just put all the information in the actual X server so you can refer to whatever workstation you're going for, and then you're good to go. 24 megs, that's too much. But yeah, no, it's really good, especially compared to like Waybar and I think QuickShell. QuickShell's about 500 megs, and which I really like QuickShell, but it's still very early days. And then if you look at Waybar, I think Waybar was a little bit better. I want to say it was between 200 and 300 megs on loading. So all the Wayland counterparts and a lot of the pieces of Wayland are just so much heavier and much more bloated than the Xorg components. And that's kind of what brought me back to Xorg. Was we're told something where I hate to say this out loud, but it's my experience is I feel like Wayland is much more bloated, and there's a lot of extra crap on Wayland. And Xorg feels much more streamlined, much more minimal, much smaller. And in practice, when I look at what memory allocation and how much it's using the system, I notice Xorg is using damn near nothing. Especially this version with DWM and Polybar, we're not using almost anything on the system. You might be thinking, oh, who cares about a half a gig? Man, at the end of the day, all this adds up. It all adds up. And I just know when I'm on a Wayland configuration, whether it's Hyperland, whether it's KDE or GNOME, that shit is way heavier. So if Wayland is built for the future and Wayland is more efficient or streamlined or designed better, I think it's bullshit that everyone has just gobbled up and just said, oh, this is amazing. You're absolutely right. Oh, it's so good, because it's not Xorg. The thing that the big touting point is it's not X11. It's not Xorg. In practice, and actually what I see on the screen, it's much more bloated. It's much less efficient. I don't get it. Now, having said that, there has been people in chat saying, I use Wayland because I have a 4K monitor. I need HDR. I need certain other things. And that's valid. There are limitations to Xorg when it comes to those higher end, brand new features coming into the display space. But I don't know. Every time I look at it, like when we do a BTOP, we filter Polybar. You can see 24 megs, right? Great. So what about DWM? How much is that taking? DWM is taking 28 megs. Okay. Well, for you Wayland people out there, I am using in grand total here between my DWM with my Polybar, with all the fixings and everything else. I mean, maybe Rofi. No, Rofi's on demand, so that doesn't running. Is there anything else I'm running in the background all the time? All the XDG stuff's on Wayland as well. Xorg's 111. So add up all your processes. I bet you it's more than 150. So that's where I struggle. That's where I struggle buying the propaganda of Wayland. I just don't need any of that stuff that you need. Now, some people incorrectly say Xorg has screen tearing, and you can set up tear free. You can uninstall bad old Xorg drivers. Maybe if you're using like an Intel chip, sometimes there's some bad screen tearing out of the box. You can fix all these things. So if you're NVIDIA, it's going to work better on Xorg. NVIDIA is built with Xorg in mind and not Wayland. So it actually works a lot better, just from my experience. So yeah, great to know. Again, a lot of times I just report what I find. Yeah, that's another good point, Rux. X11 does not support variable refresh rate from my knowledge. But who knows? What's your thought on Windows 11 breaking SSDs with the update? That's the whole reason, Seraph, I made the update to the WinUtil to purposely block updates. I swore I was never going to like permanently disable updates or show users, give them an easy way to permanently disable updates, because I feel like that was a recipe for disaster. To an extent, I still do, but when Microsoft releases updates that literally brick systems or have them not bootable or actually ruin your SSD or NVMe drives, it's fair game at this point. So I made a little button on WinUtil. If you click disable, it will disable Windows Update forever until you go and re-enable it with the tool again. That's it. So I didn't want to do that because, yes, it does open you up to security issues, but it's Windows, you know. Microsoft just vibe coded too many feature updates, I suppose. The problem, the thing I'm a little bit salty at Microsoft for is it was a security update that caused this problem. Why are they changing trim and features in a security update? Security updates should just be security, not changing the way trim works on SSDs. So it tells me there's a lack of quality assurance at Microsoft, and man, just I wish they would just do better. You know. But you know, whatever. If they don't, we'll figure out fixes and workarounds. There's always another way. Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, they used to have an entire team of testers, and they fired them all, and now they're getting rid of a lot of their engineers. So it's just like, all right. So, you know, then like the CEO's touting like 40% of our updates are vibe coded. Or no, they don't say vibe coded. They say 40% of our code now from Microsoft's written by AI. As if that's a good thing. I mean, if it was me as CEO, I would hide that shit. I wouldn't let anybody know I was using AI. I'd be like, man, we handcrafted this from the depths of our data centers in the mountains, and a team of engineers worked tirelessly overnight, poring over every single line of code to make it look nice. When in reality, I'd probably just have, oh yeah, hey, tell Bob down the hall he needs to do a couple more prompts on the GPT. Yeah, it needs a couple more iterations. We're getting some bugs out here. You don't want to tell the quiet part out loud. I feel like this is a mistake most companies are making. Like when I see 30% of our code is written by AI, I'm like, ah, shit. Well, that product's going to hell. Even Shopify CEO did it. And I was like, damn it. I use Shopify. I love Shopify. Oh, no. That means it's going to start sucking soon, too. And they're probably going to have tons of bugs. You know, I'm just saying from a marketing perspective, as a guy that's just been a technician all his life, these are the things I want to hear a company say, not X percentage of what used to be a human task is now done by an LLM. That is just scary. So yeah, anyways, it's kind of funny. Well, yeah, so like when I made this update, gaming 2 to the Windows update, I made it specifically with J and Windows Home users involved, and it doesn't use any group policy objects anymore, and it just goes through, strips out all of Task Scheduler. It strips out anything sitting in software distribution that's pending. It disables all services. It disables all services that were dependent on those services. And then it takes the DLLs that those services are required to run and moves them into a back file. So if those services try to start or repair themselves, they can't because they don't have the DLL to run or start. So I went ahead and just took a nuclear approach to my disabling of Windows Update. So if you hit disable in the Windows utility, I can guarantee you that shit isn't getting re-enabled. And if you want to revert it, it's pretty easy. You just go ahead and hit default settings and it will revert all those settings. I specifically rewound it that way. So it's the user that will decide when those updates happen. And unless Microsoft watches that video and then programs something in to undo exactly what I did, it's not getting undone. So, and I don't see them doing it because I'm pretty sure Jippity will fail at that task. You know what I'm saying? Oh, what do we got? Coding Wonder sent something in chat. The daily cycle of Windows NT 5.
The daily cycle for Windows NT begins when the newest build is released at 6 p.m. As our testing teams settle in for the evening, they install the build on dozens of clients and servers, which simulate the work of hundreds of thousands of users. With this magnitude of a product,
see, this is marketing done right.
Only way to achieve the level of testing required.
Yes.
After they initiate the stress process, team members focus on refining the more than 10 million lines of testing code that serve as the frontline proving grounds for the overall reliability of Windows NT 5. At 5 a.m., the remote diagnostics process begins. The logs for the overnight stress tests are carefully analyzed, then posted on a web page so that any team member can monitor quantitative results at any time. By 9 a.m., the stress and bug reports are sent to team members. At 9:30, team leads representing every system component assemble to prioritize which bugs get fixed that day. Over the next several hours, developers begin making fixes.
Oh, man.
Before they check in any changes, developers must...
I'm just so happy we live in a day and age where you can just feed it into a prompt and it's just as good as all this, right? So much of an improvement. Who needs humans? God.
Compile their code using the most recent build, run functional tests, and submit their code to dev leads for a line-by-line review. In the meantime, our hardware labs are busy round the clock, sorting out compatibility issues for some 580 OEM systems and more than 3,000 devices. For Windows NT 5, our labs are testing 500 LAN adapters, 1,400 printers, 370 display adapters, and more than 2,600 modems. Every day we add more devices to the test matrix, so that by the time we ship Windows NT 5, we'll have maximum compatibility coverage. Testing continues.
Kind of blows my mind that this is kind of like the origin story behind Windows right here and how it was built. And then you just have one weird, I wanted to say Norwegian, but he's not Norwegian. Where's Linus Torvalds from? Not Norway, not Sweden. It is Finland. Finnish. Finnish guy. One Finnish guy makes something in like his spare bedroom, and it accomplished almost everything we're seeing here. That's kind of crazy. I mean, it's not obviously 1-to-1, and obviously not in the same time period, but it's kind of crazy.
Outside the labs, with teams dedicated to networking, security, and large-scale deployment issues.
Okay, what was that? Wait. Come on, bro. This is a promotional video. Get some zip ties, something. Just an arm here, and then just put these cables on. What are you doing, Microsoft? This looks like, oh my God. I don't even know what that is. Windows, Microsoft, I mean, even back in the 90s, you can say Microsoft had some, wasn't the exactly most put together company in the world, that's for sure. Bro, you couldn't get with somebody down the hall and find like a decent picture of proper I'm sorry.
And large-scale deployment issues.
Damn.
For example,
reminds me of their
Building
OS.
26 of the Microsoft campus, the networking group maintains a router based on an early build of Windows NT Server 5 that has run uninterrupted for 6 months. Other teams focus
6
on
months.
integration of services, such as virtual private networks, remote
Hey, back in those days, 6 months of Windows Server uptime, that is an accomplishment. That rarely happened.
access, and the domain naming system. Thanks to new, specialized testing procedures, we have eliminated 45 blue screen bugs and 50 required reboots that existed when Windows
50
NT4
required
shipped.
reboots.
We've also fixed more than 400 memory leaks. A number of these fixes will be backported to version 4. Even if the development team fixes every bug our testers find, we won't ship Windows NT 5 until customers say it's ready.
Yeah.
The team's daily routine therefore includes conference calls, briefings, and training sessions with key IT customers enrolled in the Rapid Deployment Program. And while the team tests more than 1,000 applications for compatibility,
Oh, man.
Microsoft's Developer Relations Group works with even more independent software vendors to test and incorporate new services into their products.
Oh,
Back in the lab, approved code
MSDN.
changes arrive by 3 p.m., and the team goes to work assembling the new build. Before it's released, the build is installed.
I love how they have all these like artificial deadlines when, if anybody's ever done this in practice or you've seen a big company like this, they're anything but routine. And typically these deadlines are missed all the time. I bet you. Like, I'd bet the farm on it.
Installed and tested for integrity. Then it's automatically distributed over the network. And at 6 p.m., as the day's build goes out the door, the process starts all over again.
Microsoft. Oh, thank you, Coding Wonders. That was so great. I loved it. Oh my God. Oh God. Yeah. The Microsoft propaganda. Oh yeah, the LTT Linus Torvalds collab. That's gonna be awesome. I look forward to that. I am so pumped. Yeah. Yeah, almost all those people are retired now, for sure, drummer. This was 90s Microsoft, and almost all of them had stock options back in these days. So many of the early days Microsoft people became very wealthy after, because of most big companies, you could donate, or you didn't donate, but you used a portion of your check, and then you got stock options at like a discount. So a lot of times, even like when I worked at Best Buy, they did this in the early 2000s, where you could buy BBY stock, which was the stock ticker for Best Buy, and you get it at a discount. I was with District back in 2003, and that we were able to get, I was able to get stock for a lot cheaper than market prices, and it would just sit there and accumulate. And back in those days, it was great. Good thing I sold all that, but Stock's not worth very much these days, but I'm sure Microsoft, oh my God, could you imagine having those options and then seeing what happens now? Oh my God. Hey, whenever Linus gives me the shout, Tails, I'm game. I'll fly over to Vancouver. Beautiful. Although if it's during the wintertime, I heard Vancouver's not that bad during the winter. I'd still do it during the wintertime. I'd suck it up. It'd be fine. Since then, they became private equity, and then they became public again. Dell did something similar. Oh, man. Private equity always screws it up. Private equity and venture capitalists are like the death of modern capitalism. It's just like, ugh, they only make things worse. I've never seen an instance where private equity or venture capital comes into a business and makes it better. In every instance I've seen, it's just the complete and shitification of a company. Ugh. Vancouver, it's like Seattle, but better. Yeah. I really liked my visit to Vancouver. It was very, very, very beautiful city. Okay, Dell's much better business since the buyback, so that is one. Good to hear. You know, I always root for people to make a good comeback. Like when it comes to Dell, I still love Dell servers. You know, even to this day, as much as I like to crap on Dell, I would say the Dell server has just been such a staple in the server world for so long. Now, there's been some bumps in the road here and there, but even today, I still love Dell servers. It's the only thing I love from Dell, but it's still such a big thing. I mean, God, I bought so much. Best Buy's been better than they have been in 25 years. Really? Wow. That's awesome. Like I always love hearing companies do well, especially old companies like that. Like Best Buy, I've had so many memories with. And I honestly, even when I worked there, I really enjoyed my time at Best Buy. They were not a bad employer. And I was fairly compensated. Even after I left, my bosses, I don't know if it was my bosses, the company, whatever it was, but they paid me, I want to say it was for 6 months after I left, because I got bonus checks for, I think it was 2 quarters. And then I also had bonus checks for each month. And then I also had all my PTO, which was like a month or 2 of PTO saved up. And I only worked there for 5 years, I want to say. And yeah, they took care of me, man. I think the biggest checks I got from them was after I quit. Ironically. But that would have been in 2000 era. It would have been Best Buy circa 2006, I want to say 6 or 7. Yeah. See, I love the R720, I think was what I used to do. Let's see, Best Buy stock. If you invested 1,000 in Best Buy, how many people actually held on to their Best Buy stocks or not? Microsoft stocks. Oh wow. Well, that's saying that they would lose money after the .com bust, which probably some people panicked and dumped. What's the ticker for Microsoft? What, MSFW? MSFT ticker. Let's go all time. Yeah, so, but there's splits in here as well. They probably did a stock split. Nah, that was COVID. Damn. Has Microsoft ever split their stock? It doesn't really say on this chart. But yeah, you can see, like in the 2000 era, it was around 40 or 50 a stock. So it's almost 10x from then. But I almost guarantee you they did a stock split, whether it was like a 2-to-1 split or a 3-to-1 split. It depends on how they did it. But I guarantee you sometime in this realm, they were splitting stock for probably 10, 15 years, kind of diluting down the shares that existed. That was like a big thing. And then I think sometime in like the mid to late 2000s or 2020s, I don't think we've seen too many more stock splits. I don't know what happened. Maybe it just came out of, anywho. Yeah, that's pretty cool though. Oh, the 45 Drives Creator Summit. A lot of creators love 45 Drives. I've never worked with them. Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, 12,000 with reinvested dividends. I have a question. What do you think about YouTube's view counts? Everyone's view ratio is decreasing. Guess yet a number of likes remains the same on YouTube. Yeah, so actually, Lumen, I've dived deep in with a couple other creators, notably Jeff Geerling I've talked to at length with this, and he noticed the same thing. Jeff pointed out, actually, I think he made an article on his website. Jeff Geerling website. I think it's jeffgeerling.com. Let's go to the blog. Here we go. Yeah, here is the article I'm referencing, but I also talked to Jeff too, and he tracked it down to where the view counts have decreased, 30-40%, but there has been no decrease in ad revenue because they've adjusted the RPM, so you're getting paid per each one. And I think he even pulls, he talked with Dan from LTT, and I think LTT's talked about this as well. And he pulled in Dan's charts, and essentially you're just getting paid more per view, but the view counts are quite a bit less. So you don't really notice anything from a views perspective. Here's the article if you want to reference it. Brody also made a video about it. And then you can also see it directly on my analytics, which I'll just show here. So let's pull up my analytics. You can see I don't really make that many videos these days. Let's go 90 days. And the weird thing here, and I don't think anybody's talked about this, is mine's pretty consistent. Let's go 365. Yeah, you can see mine's just pretty much a straight line. But here's the thing, I don't think anybody's noticed, and maybe they didn't update the view counts on the videos themselves, but I've noticed, I think they went back and changed the views for like these ones back here. I want to say in November of last year, I was churning out a good amount of videos like right in here. And I can tell you my view counts were much higher because this would have been averaging 60, 70,000 every 48 hours because that's prominently displayed here. And I know it was higher during that period. So I don't know if they adjusted those down or what. But I mean, I'm kind of like, I can't really complain. Like when you look at my chart, lifetime or like compare like 2024 to 2025, I've been very fortunate. Like when I look through, I have almost no dips. Even when I had like a month or so off, my view counts have been pretty steady, like forever. So most creators, when and if you look at my latest videos, this is a little bit less than normal, but I don't really care. I don't do sponsorships, and that's where this really plays a factor. Sponsors usually pay per view, so like you have specific things that you might agree to. Hey, if it hits 10,000 views, then you get paid an extra thing. If it hits a stretch goal of like 100,000, you might get paid even more. So I think sponsor deals is where this really hits people's pocketbooks the most. But overall, like my views are great. Like there's no complaints here. They're probably a little bit less than I anticipated. but I don't really care. I'm just like, whatever. I still like just making the videos I want to make. And I just kind of space them out more now to where I'm like, I'll do a video maybe 1 a month, maybe 2 a month, depending on how I'm feeling or if something really comes along that's good. But I don't really stress and I don't do any sponsorships, so it doesn't really affect me. And the pay you get from YouTube is not very good anymore. So like the idea of being like a full-time YouTuber in 2025 or going into 2026, I don't even think that's a profession really anymore. I think it was just like a little flash in the frying pan kind of thing. And YouTube's still, I think, a great platform for promotion, and you can treat it like a media company. Like you got Linus Media Group, where you can filter in a lot more sponsorships, and as you get a lot more views, those views translate to much more. Like in my realm, I pull in usually about like 1 million a month, 1 million views a month, and I probably could sell sponsorship deals between 5 and 10,000 per video, and that obviously is considerably more than I make from AdSense. Like AdSense is just negligible at that point. But the problem is, once you have an algorithm shift like this, that revenue would probably get halved. So overnight, you take like a 50% pay cut. And that's fine if you're just one person. But like Linus, I feel bad for him specifically because he has like 100 people relying on those views. That's kind of insane to me. So that's my breakdown of it. The YouTube did something in the back end, and Google's being Google, with their whole, we didn't do anything. Instead of saying algorithms, say it's about the audience. And I'm like, whatever, dude. You guys adjusted some shit on the back end. You adjusted the views lower. Whatever reason you did that, that's fine. But you should have fucking owned up to it. We're calling you out on it. Everybody's calling them out on it. And they're still like, I don't know what happened. It's so strange. One of the hamsters died that did the view counts, and the view counts, no, we're not even going to acknowledge them. They're lower. They're just different. So I think you should ask yourself, what would the audience like to make in this video? Yes, that's what you should ask. How can you dedicate more time to making a better video so it can appeal to more people? That is the question. Not, did we change the algorithm to profit greatly off of your work? Because we would. Well, that's beside the point. You should ask yourself how to make more videos to get more eyeballs. Yeah, so I mean, it's a thing though. It's like I got no complaints, man. Like when it comes to YouTube, I've always enjoyed it. I've always made videos and I've enjoyed making videos. I'm appreciate of just being able to do it, and making some money on it is great. But yeah. Did your NVMe break with the update of Windows 11? I don't really main Windows 11 these days. So my test bench that I use for Windows 11 or my dual boot, it's like I boot in and then I do my work and then I boot out. So I never have Windows 11 running nonstop. So I really don't care from the update that broke people's drives. I haven't really seen anything at work though. We haven't had any issues. At work, we run probably about 50 different Windows boxes, and all of them are NVMe at this point. And we didn't hold back that update, and it's fine. But most of those, where the update is most egregious, where you can actually see failure, is those people that really are pushing probably above like a 70-80% drive usage. Almost every drive in that business is not utilized past 50%. So it's not typically a big deal, because the higher you use on the drive, the more trim that it'll have based on that update, the greater the chance of failure. But a sparsely used drive that's only using maybe 10-20% utilization, maybe 30 or 40% utilization, a lot of space, but most of it's not higher than that. Isn't really going to be affected as badly as most people will. Like many people watching just YouTube go, oh my God, it's going to break every computer. No, it's going to really target computers that have high utilization of their solid state drives and have that update in correlation with it. So not a huge deal as most people would lead you to believe, but you do need to worry about it if you do use high utilization on your solid state. So that's kind of what I thought. I'm curious how successful Floatplane actually is. I think it's pretty successful. When I was talking to Luke, which he's pretty much the guy that runs it, he was pretty forthcoming. It does pretty well. I think the biggest success LTT had was their store, though. I talked with their, I don't think it was the CFO. Man, when we got that LTX a couple years back, we had such access to everything that Linus did. So I'm really appreciative towards them for essentially just, I could go and ask all their employees any question without Linus or anybody else present. So they just like turned over all the creators and said, hey, y'all just have fun, talk to each other, go out and talk to people. That was it. There was like no direction. So we could just do whatever we want. So of course, the first thing I did, I was like, I love business and I know business pretty well. So I loved just talking to all the employees at LTT, and we had almost unlimited access. Now we did have unlimited access. And dude, I remember asking revenue, all that type of stuff. Now they didn't give exact numbers on revenue, but they gave me percentages, and the percentages were nuts. Like they said back in 2023, damn near half the revenue was merch. And I was like, that's amazing. So it really kind of opened my eyes up. Instead of sponsorships or ad revenue and all this other stuff people focus on, if LTT's doing merch in 2023 at the time, and he's making that much money doing it, then you probably need to be looking at doing your own thing. So yeah, very, very, very cool. Saleh, thanks for the tier 1. Hey, I'm planning on going to a networking next year in college. I'm going to be studying abroad in the US. All right, man. Well, I hope you enjoy your stay here. Oh man, but yeah, no, it's interesting. But that whole scene is really good, and they gave everyone whatever we wanted from the store. And I know I'm a bit of a lush. I gotta be a little confession here. So I got their screwdriver, which, oh God, where is that? I think it's over there. But I got their regular screwdriver. I got their micro screwdriver when it released. And then I also got the water bottle, which the water bottle is all this was really good stuff. And then I liked that so well, I reached back out over Twitter, and I think I was talking to, I think it was their head of merch. His name's escaping me, but he has glasses and a bald head. And I was like, hey, can I get your like top tier backpack? I know it's like $300. And I hate to ask, but kind of need a new backpack, and it looks pretty cool. And he just sent me back. He's like, sure, just send me your address. So sure enough, like a couple weeks later, I got an LTT backpack, and I gotta say, I love that damn backpack. I probably should do a video. I feel almost bad about it. But it was fun. Theo Joe did a video about a lot of drives working again fine with people done a full power down, turning the PSU off. Ah, okay. Yeah, I've heard that too. I think it was low level guy. I think he had issues booting up as well. And once he did a full power down and power back up, it was fine. He did a video while he was in Singapore. Oh man. Oh God. I don't know if you ever saw this short. I kind of hid it on my channel. But speaking of Theo Joe and LTT, it kind of brings me back to it. God, let's go videos. I think it's still in here somewhere. Hacked. How many times has LTT been hacked? I don't know. Let's keep going. Nope. Oh, that's when he did his Linux thing. Comments, bam. Oh man, maybe I did it in the secondary channel. Let's I gotta do something with my secondary channel. I just don't know what. It's just sitting there. Let's go video, or actually, let's go channel. Old Titus Tech Talk. I don't know. I was renaming it something, but let's see. No. Maybe it was a short. Man, I don't remember what happened to it. Maybe it's LTX. Nope. LTX from this channel, maybe. I had a fun short I actually did with Theo Joe in the... Oh, God, I can't remember what the hell I did with it. Sabotage. Ah, no. That would have been so great. Maybe I deleted it? It was pretty funny. Anyways, we went to the WAN show, and I was with Theo Joe, and I was like, oh my God, all the mixing equipment is like out on the right side. And I was like, how jacked up would it be if I just went over here to the mics and just unplugged them just like a quarter of the way? It'd be so sinister. We were all laughing about it because it was me, Theo Joe, Chris from Crosstalk Communications, and I think it was Jeff from Craft Computing. It was fun though. That was just such a great time. Those guys are great. Anyways. Oh no, Gamers Nexus over LTT. I liked the backpack I got. Has been great, so I can't say anything bad. But I didn't do a review. I've just used the thing for like 2 years now. It's been good. Yeah. Gamers Nexus has always been great for like breaking down hardware. I don't know what happened there though. There must be like some underlying beef between Steve and Linus. Something happened in the back end. It's like, I think Linus pissed in his Cheerios or something. Something happened, whether it was a sponsor or something. But man, there's just so much animosity between those two. I don't understand what the deal was. Anyhow, I've never had a problem with any of them, so. Oh, God, what were we doing today? God, have I been yapping for an hour and a half? All right, let's actually do something. Sorry. Yeah. All right. We need to actually document. All right. Let's pull in DWM-Titus docs. Yeah, just yapping. You know me. You get me talking and I just won't shut up. That's why they call me the Yapper Master. So true. So true. All right, we got chapter 1. Let's call this installation. Install. Now let's go down. Let's go install. Yes. All right. Yeah, I think the current iteration of YouTube right now, I gotta say, it's been Like there's this whole like exposing people, and it's just kind of gross. The drama era of YouTube, I'm kind of over it. You know, from the pirate software drama to ordinary gamers and some other people that just kind of, I don't know. It just feels like drama farming, and it's just like, it's like this weird edutainment has moved away, and now it's all about like crappy reporters trying to stir up drama videos. It feels like what are the like stupid drama stations like TMZ? It's like a cheap version of TMZ meets like Daily Mail for YouTubers. That's what I feel like YouTube has turned into, and it's just like, it's kind of gross. It's not even that good either. It's like, God, talk about a low effort video. And, you know, to be frank, I've done a drama video in the past, one or two of them, and I'm like, man, it's a slippery slope, man. You don't want to do it. So I try and stay away from it. I kind of want to be known for what I've built and what I've created, not for, hey, that's the guy that always talks about drama and all the other crap out on the internet. It's just like, bro, come on, just do something productive. Let's go DWM-Titus. And I'm slow as all get out. I gotta say, I am not the most productive guy in the world, but I do get stuff done. We're gonna copy this. This will be a good starting spot. I think actually, I don't think I can. I think Coors is going to prevent this policy from going through. Ah, dang. All right. Well, you know what we're going to do? Let's call this Lin Util. Yeah, let's do that. Shorts don't help. Yeah, no doubt. God, I hate short form content. It's the worst. Yeah, Lewis likes to jump in there from time to time. I get it. I like Louis Rosman, but yeah, he is a little bit long-winded, and when he does see some stuff, he will do some drama farming. He won't miss on the drama farming. But a lot of times I like his, like the Fudo and the Freedom, trying to get away from big tech. I like a lot of his content too, so I give him a pass. I feel like that's good. Let's see what that produces. Book build. Lazy G, update, install. Oh man. Daily drive a GT 1660 and remove the 4070 Super. Oh man, I think I might stick. I was thinking about going back to PCI pass-through, to be honest. I have such a love-hate relationship with PCI pass-through, you know, coupled with obviously Looking Glass, that it's like, I always forget why I move away from it, but I always move away from it, and then I end up moving back to it and dual booting. There's always something that happens where I'm just like, it's just not quite what I need. Yeah, there's some people that are really good at lifting others up, but yeah, I wish the algorithm promoted it more. I think just more often people skew towards the negative, And the algorithm's just a dead entity where it's not like they purposely promote negative stuff. It's just much more clickable than the positive stuff. People are more likely to watch the negative. But that's okay. You know, I think that's just the human nature. I wish they did a little bit more to skew that, but at the end of the day, they really want as much watch time as they possibly can get out of folks. Oh, really? He had to stop doing board repair because of his health issue? Bud, what was his health issue? I didn't hear about that. If you ended WinUtil and LinUtil 15 years from now, do you think LinUtil would have caught or surpassed WinUtil for downloads? Not a chance, man. WinUtil is just so ridiculous gaming. Like, it's so huge, like worldwide. It's probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, PowerShell script in the world. And I don't say that to be like bragiosis or I said that wrong, but it's just, look at the downloads. You got 10 million downloads in a little over a year. 10 million downloads in a little over a year. That's insane. And then obviously LinUtil is more of my passion project. I love LinUtil though. It's morphed into, like, WinUtil might be what everyone uses, but LinUtil is probably one of the projects that I'm just most proud of from an open source and contribution perspective, because it all started as a joke, a Twitch chat joke where people were like, hey, you should build it in Rust. And I was like, guys, I don't know Rust. And then we're like, oh, shit, let's do it. And we did it, and it turned into like a really cool interface. So much so, like, this one has over 200,000 runs, which is actually a good amount. But even so much so, I think a professor from MIT reached out and asked if he could use the scaffolding, essentially the core of LinUtil, where he was. Maybe it wasn't MIT. It was some college. I can't remember. And I was like, dude, it literally has the MIT license. Yes, you can obviously use this however you see fit. And he took it because he really liked the terminal user interface here with how it's set up. And I do too. It's really nice. I probably will, honestly, I might remove some features like the hint of the day where it'll show like ARP or, you know, DU for his disk usage and those types of things. It was kind of like a added thing, but I think I need to clean up some of the tooling around the LinUtil. But I just love developing for both, honestly. I'm so ADD. I really love jumping back and forth between Linux and Windows, and I just don't ever see that stopping. Like I'm going to keep developing both forever until I die. Not to be morbid, but it's true. Shaky hands, don't know what it's called. Ah, that sucks, man. Oh man, right to repair. ADD, you mean ADD? Or add? Why not subtract? Yeah. I mean, there's people with like ADHD. That's not me though. Yeah, the 5700 XT is actually really good for Mac VMs. I want to say that had support all the way up until, oh geez, was it Big Sur when they dropped support for the AMD cards? I can't remember which version of Mac OS they dropped support for the AMD cards, which is sad. I think they're gonna drop all support. RIP old Hackintoshes, man. Oh man, trimmers. Yeah. MacUtil's still super early days, and I haven't developed with it a whole bunch. So let me look. Probably 100. Yeah, 78 downloads. Yeah, I'm not too far off. Yeah, I just it's so early days on MacUtil, and I don't develop enough for it to where most people will use it. I still love how I did it though, and I loved using F# with .NET. Still one of the most enjoyable programming experiences has been using F# with .NET in Mac. I loved it. It was fun. I honestly want to rewrite all of the utilities with F# and .NET. I just loved it that much. I'm not gonna, but yeah. I mean, it's a really neat tool. Like when you go into it's a very functional language, and F# to me just made so much sense. It was very much like C#, but without like all the extra machine code and stupid brackets everywhere. It's just it was so well done. I really enjoy F#. And I really need to get back into programming more on it. Yeah. I'm fairly certain F#'s functional. God, don't call me a liar here. Let's ask the AI gods, shall we? Is F# a functional language? Yes, F# is primarily a functional programming language. It's function-first language that runs on the .NET platform and heavily influenced by OCaml. F# supports key functionality programming like immutable data structures by default, much like Rust, first-class functions, pattern matching, type inference, algebraic data types, high-order functions. It's also very easy to read. Like when you read an F# program, it's like stupid easy to read, and it kind of reminds me a little bit about like Rails. Like when you look at Ruby and Ruby on Rails, it's really kind of cool to see how it has that type of legibility where you just look at it and go, oh, I see what's happening. So it's an imperative programming integration with broader .NET ecosystem. So almost everything. And I want to say, I don't think Microsoft has complete control over F#, but I want to say most of F# is almost like a testing ground for what happens with C#. So it's kind of interesting. But I really enjoy it. It's very, very nice. So like to give you an example, let's just pull in the Mac GUI. And probably under services, we can see a little bit of F# code so you can get an idea. So let me just blow this up. So what we do, you declare your namespace. You got your libraries here, or you can pull in different .NET stuff. I'm just using like TOML and this. And very, very readable. So declaring some variables. This makes the variable mutable. If you put mutable, if you don't have mutable, then it's not changeable. So it's immutable. So for other words, look at the for. Here's a for loop. You can see the if else statements kind of. Here, try and catch it looks like as well. This is just prompting. I mean, very, very easy to read. I just love it. And this is this a switch statement? Yeah. Essentially. Match statement. But yeah. Same difference. Writing this out, I was like, man, this is so cool. You don't really have anything else that's really all that bad. Oh, this wasn't the best example probably, but some spaghetti code here, but it does work well. I don't know. I just really like the language. It seems very easy to use. And it's very powerful, obviously, because you got the .NET library you can fall back on to pull in anything and everything that you want. So, I don't know. I just, after kind of going between them all, I'm just seeing if there's anything else in here. Let's see, what else do we have? View models isn't going to be pretty short, probably. Members. Yeah, anyways, just a good example of like F#. But I really like it. It's a very obscure language, and the reason why we picked F# was, again, Twitch chat. I blame you guys. You're the fault of that problem, because ideally what we thought was so if you look up top PowerShell projects on GitHub, let's go top 50 or something. Oh, there should be GitHub rankings. Here we go. So there's a top 100 here. So here's the table of contents. And if you go to PowerShell, number 1 top project for PowerShell on GitHub for any PowerShell script, me, WinUtil, with almost 40,000 stars. So we're killing it. However, I thought, okay, if we're dominating one language, hubris, just pure hubris, I went through each language and I'm like, which one could I make a project for? And we could also get to the top spot. And obviously, if you pick something like JavaScript or TypeScript, good effing luck. It's just not going to happen. Or Python, something popular you just can't use. So I was going through and I was like, I kind of need something more obscure. So then I was like, F#. And F#'s not in here. Damn. I think it wasn't here. Let's go to GitHub ranking. GitHub ranking by language. And I think I went through the languages and I like, which ones have the best potential to get the top project in? And all the way down here in the 30s with a popularity of 0.065 in between CoffeeScript and Verlog was F#. And I was like, that's my language right there. It's even below like Haskell. So the whole reason we picked F# for the MacUtil was that if you were actually being serious about writing software and you're writing a MacUtil, almost everyone would have chose like Swift. Swift would have been more organic and it would have been more tightly integrated into the Mac ecosystem. However, F# worked just fine. I still have to like take out the pseudo terminal and then bake it directly into the F# application. But I don't know. I'm just, I most of this stuff's just fun projects for me. It's just having fun. Oh, what is more of the OS distros, including spin-off forks of scripting languages? I think there's a lot of spin-offs. Most languages, I would say most languages take inspiration from the languages that they came before it. Like if you talk to like the Odin dev or the Elixir dev, he's going to go back through many of the popular languages of the past 20 years. And I think a lot of them take inspiration from those languages and then make their language in that spirit of taking the things they liked about the language, but removing the things they didn't like. And I think that's just how modern languages are built. But like Zed's another really new language. I think like all the hipster programmers are doing Zed, Elixir, Odin, and that's like all the new hotness right now in the programming space. But I mean, I don't really care. I like kind of using the older stuff as long as it's very legible and it's got decent code, I think you can understand it. What does DWM stand for here in this subject? DWM's dynamic window management. So that's exactly what you're seeing at the top here. This is dynamic window management. So you can split this, you can move it between each, yada yada, and then easily switch between workspaces. So that's dynamic window management. And I like DWM because it's just written in C, just old school C. And essentially, if there's anything that doesn't work the way I want it to with DWM, we can change it. There's no limitations to what we can do with it. It's just what can we think up and how competent I am with C, which not very competent, but competent enough to where we can go. So that's the idea behind all this. And make an easy setup with like linutil like this right here. So right now, I know the title of this stream was DWM Documentation. I broke my website, didn't I? Damn it. What did I do? What happened? Maybe let's just do Chromium index. What happened? Oh no. Let's go Google Chrome stable index. All right. Yeah, so we were adding this in. Oh, you know what? I think this put that image in the wrong spot. That's why it didn't actually go out. Okay, that makes more sense now. Where did it put it though? Is it in here somewhere? DWM, Linux. Oh, dang. Did I hard code that into, I think it's static? Oh, dang. Yeah, I did. Damn. All right, well, we're going to just move this over into that docs website. I forgot I hard coded all this because I usually work on my website, not a documentation website. Let's go docs. Let's go make directory images, move. Linutil application to images. All right, now we should be fine. My bad. Yeah, so something like that should be good. And min book help. Let's serve it real fast. Just to see. You know what? I'm gonna put it right over here. You can now run all your apps in terminal, including Wayland apps. Oh, that's cool. Term everything. Let's see. What did I do here? Do I have... Yeah, I have 8 internet. All right. That looks good. Inspect. Where's that one to go? I think this is fine. The thing I'm kind of curious about here is I don't think this is rebuilding properly for the website because I'm using GitHub Pages. Yeah, there isn't a GitHub Pages site here if you're trying to publish one. Yeah, I think I made a change to the docs. Let's change that setting. Pages. The idea was I could deploy it here and then just deploy it directly from GitHub. You usually do this from like a Cloudflare, but yeah, that's working. So it's trying to do images, which would be fine as long as the custom domain was being used. Okay. Let me think about that. I think it should just be DWM-Titus.com. Save. It should check the domain and then update it. Maybe when I hit enforce DNS, it screwed up the custom domain. Huh. Yeah, it's working now. Yeah. And that's secure. That's using HTTPS. It's still not actually pulling in that image though. Damn it. Why is that? Images, linutil app install dot webpage. I bet you. Do you prefer C, C Sharp, or C++? C Sharp these days, gaming evolution. I learned on C++ back in the 90s, but I totally forgot all that. It got purged from my brain. So, C Sharp, I'm probably most familiar with these days, but when I say familiar, I like know about 2% of what I need to know. I can read it, I can understand basic logic, but coding from hand without any assistance, I would be just a fish out of water. Let's move images, right? Oh. Okay. Yeah. So the images get completely erased because they're not in the source directory. So we need to go make directory images. Man, this would be great if it was just here, but I don't think it is. That's okay. I'm gonna fix this really fast. Can no, I gotta. No, not Linux book. Let's go DWM. Docs, source, images. Let's go linutil applications dot webp. It's gonna be PNG. Whatevs. We're gonna just do it as PNG. WebP can be a little finicky. I love it because it's highly compressed though. So there is that. Let's go 10 install. Okay. Should be fine. There we go. Now, if we go MD book serve. Ah. Oops. MD book serve. Now I think we should have what we need. Let's check our local host. Yeah. Perfection. Love it. All right, great. Now we've got our images worked out. Lazy G, update, images. What? What happened there? Yeah, we're good. Okay. Strange. Anywho, that's all good. Yeah, the AI remembers all the APIs for you. You know, I do. I swear, I just love the APIs for lookups. They're so nice. He knows enough to ask GPT the correct questions. I mean, budget. One. A couple corrections with this statement. I know you did a kappa at the end here, but I asked Claude the correct questions. It's about asking Claude the right questions. Oh man. Anyways, yeah, I kid. Not really, but yeah. So this person did term for everything. Run any GUI app in the terminal. Huh. Man, that's kind of wild. Pulling it from archive.org. Wow. I mean, that's cool, man. It's neat. It's neat seeing people just do things just because they can. Let's see. Can we agree on that? I should have a good reason to switch over to Linux. I'm a Windows user. Windows users switch to Linux because they hate Windows. That's the reason. Like, for real. Like, people are like, I'm just tired of having updates that break my drive. I'm tired of Microsoft pushing Copilot on me. People don't switch to Linux because they see Linux and go, oh my God, Linux is amazing. They might be curious. Like, oh, that looks weird. It looks different. But people switch to Linux from Windows because Microsoft pissed them off. That's why that's the origin of every Linux user I've ever met. And don't play Battlefield. That's right. Yeah, not a huge gamer. There's a lot of caveats to this. But typically, if you talk to any like Linux user of several years, all of them say the same thing. I just got tired of Windows. Or if you're DHH, you got tired of Mac. Mac did some shady stuff and just pissed them off, and they're like, oh, yes. But very much the same thing. It's more of that. It's not, hey, everyone should switch to Linux. That's not a thing. No, very few people are even capable of switching to Linux, much less should they switch. It's more of, are you happy in Microsoft Windows? Do you enjoy your computing experience? Do you like the era of discovery of like, oh, hey, I can do whatever the hell I want. I want a different file browser. I want a different bootloader. I want a different window manager to where I can just flip as fast as I can and it just doesn't break. It can spawn thousands of windows in the key press. Ah, it's so good. Feels so good. Try doing that in Windows. You can't. But these are things that you learn over years. It doesn't just happen right out of the gate. I'm trying to fix that with DWM-Titus, but we're not there yet. Getting there, but we're not there yet. But yeah, I mean, I still stand by the original statement of, yes, Linux has a lot of really cool stuff, especially if you're a programmer. I struggle to see very many programmers that would stick to Windows unless they're like avid C# programmers using just crap tons of .NET and constantly only programming for Windows. Then maybe. But almost all programmers, I think, probably will move to Linux or shift to Linux just as a better environment for that user. For the hardcore programmer that doesn't do much else, Linux makes a lot of sense. But for most people, most other people, the normal people of the world, I would say you switched to Linux because you just got really tired of Microsoft's shenanigans. Yeah, I don't think Windows is bad, but all the things about security and Windows selling data, I'm not happy about it. Yeah, and that's really what drove me to Linux. I wasn't a programmer. I know a lot of my streams lately have been programming, but I still stand by the fact I guess I'm kind of a programmer, but not really. I've never gotten professionally paid to be a programmer per se. I've gotten paid a lot to do automation and scripting and those types of things from a sysadmin point of view. So I'm more of a traditional rack and stack technician. And when it comes to my reasons of switching off Windows and going to Linux, it was specifically I got really pissed off at Windows. And that's what made me switch. I was just like, I'm so sick of fixing all this crap. And Microsoft just keeps making it worse. It's more work for me to maintain the Windows than if I were to just switch to Linux in the long term. So that's my use case of the sale of Linux. Are you pissed off? Do you want to have fun with your computer and really nerd out and tinker and just have this era of discovery again and enjoy computing? Then Linux might be for you. Do you just want to get on your computer and do all the things you've done for the past 10, 15 years and have the same regular experience, just a little bit shitified every year as updates and other things fall in? But for the most part, it works. Then stay on Windows. That's the pitch. Yeah, that's the pitch. I don't think there's anything else. I think PewDiePie did the best sales marketing pitch of Linux of all time. I think that was amazing. Yeah, PewDiePie did more for desktop Linux in the video than anyone else has done in the past decade. I agree, Robert, 100%. It was such a good video about, you could just see the child in him come out, and I see just really enjoyed sharing his creation. And I think that's neat. It showed people, oh, you can do this. Now, everyone's going to look a little different when they go and do that. It's like drawing a picture when you're building out your Linux a lot of times. And it's just going to look a lot different. And it's going to be imperfect. And it takes a lot of iteration, a lot of tinkering. And that's a thing. But I would say that tinkering and like finding that perfect system is why I love Linux. And some people, again, don't want to do that. They want just a system right out of the box with just sane defaults, and they can just open up their 1 or 2 apps they use a day and then work. Linux probably isn't for that person. Yeah, and I mean it just depends, but yeah. He went all in. I mean, the Pewds, man, he went deep into the Linux rabbit hole, which is great. It's kind of funny. Like he went further in than Linus Tech Tips went in, which I thought was hysterical. I was just dying. I was like, oh, that's embarrassing. I mean, it was a weird timeline that we're in. I didn't see that one coming. I was like, oh no, because I remember when PewDiePie did his first like computer build video, and I was like, oh, I'm not much of a computer builder, but damn. And then when he's like, I'm going to Linux, and I was like, oh no. All right, let's watch it. It's got 1 million views already. This is gonna be terrible. And then I was like pleasantly surprised. I was just like, wow, I did not see that coming. It was great. It was absolutely great. It's got 6.7 million views on his Linux video now. Wow. Yeah, I mean, and I think like at the time when LTT did his Linux challenge, you got to remember he's a media company, and he was producing, oh God, I want to say it's like 4 or 5 videos a day. So he has a certain workflow that he has to maintain to keep that level of production. He can't just shut down shop for a month and tinker around. I mean, unless he just like doesn't have a personal life at all. But I know he has kids and a wife, so that's not gonna work. So like he couldn't. I don't think there's a way for him to explore Linux and do it justice with his current situation. I just don't think that's possible. Yeah. Oh yeah. He did another one where he built like a Threadripper, I think it was, Canes. Yeah, he redeemed himself on that original build video for sure. It's a must watch. I watched that one too. But yeah, I think that came after the Linux video, and I was like, nice. I think I even commented on that second video, and I was like, what kind of LLM type of thing he's building? Because he put, I think it was like 4 GPUs. I think it was 4 A4000 series of GPUs, which tells me he's probably doing some kind of local LLM type thing. Yeah, Yvonne. I've met her. She's a cool lady. Very down to earth. But yeah. Oh man. Did we fix the website? I literally have done nothing today, I feel like. Nah, it's still broken. I wonder, like, it popped up for a second there, and then it breaks itself. I think it's something with how I'm hosting it. Was it 8 A100s? Holy crap. That's insane. Have a good one, Tails. Yeah, I'm really curious to see what his next video is. You know, whenever that comes out. But the cool thing is, like, Budes will just take like a month or two to build the video. He can just take as much time as he needs. Let's see. I think I'm using GitHub pages incorrectly. Okay. I have an entry of index HTML and I put it in the docs folder. Publishing source. Let's see, maybe my publishing source is wrong. No, publishing source is fine. It's the docs, not the root. Surely someone else has done this though with MD Book. Maybe we need to do a GitHub action for the publisher, because as soon as I do the update, it's fine. If you publish your sites from a source branch, GitHub pages will use Jekyll to build your site by default. If you want to use a static site generator, then we recommend you write a GitHub action to build and publish your website. Otherwise, disable Jekyll build process by creating an empty file called .nojekyll in the root of your publishing source. Oh, that's what's happening. So if we go into docs, oh, okay. Docs gets recreated from the source. So if we just do a touch, no Jekyll. So then you have this right here. And then let's go back, do an MD Book build. Then if we go into the docs, which is what's get published, there should be a .no Jekyll. And there it is, .no Jekyll. So then let's go lazy G, no Jekyll. Now we should actually have no build process fire off, because by default GitHub will always want to do that. And the thing I don't know here that we might need to expand on is creating a GitHub action to go ahead and do the MD Book build. I hope I don't have to do that, because I'd prefer just to build it myself and then just update it manually. But we might need to. They may ignore the no Jekyll symbol because it won't see a GitHub action. So let's see. Oh man. All right, sweet. Well, guys, I think I'm gonna shut it down today. I think I'm gonna do a little bit of a short stream. I'm just I'll get these docs updated. I kind of want to just show kind of like the layout of the DWM docs, get that going, and we have pretty much everything baked in. I still need to do some cleanup on this. Next stream, I'll probably do a WinUtil update stream because we've been going hard on DWM for like 2 weeks. I think I need to take a break. So I'll probably do a WinUtil update stream for the next one. And then we'll definitely coming back as I develop more. Now, I also am installing this on a laptop, and I'm also installing it on my indoor desktop with multiple monitors. So working on laptop and multi-monitor support is on the way as well. So should be fun. But all right, guys, have a good one. See y'all probably next Monday. So this is